Welcome to Meet the Voter, episode 41. We have Heather Heavenwood from Dallas, from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas. And we have Jonathan Denwood from Fort Carson, from Carson City, Nevada, in a Starbucks shop, fending off the evil hordes of Americans trying to attack him. And myself, Bill Conrad, Reno, Nevada. And it's a long week. This seemed like a terribly long week. It's a week where we had Hillary Clinton, basically the director of the FBI, not bring charges forward or recommend charges against Hillary. We had 2 black shootings, and then followed by a police shooting of 5. And finally, we'll go into the latter part of the show where we'll talk about the vice president choices in the conventions coming up. The platform committee is already meeting, I think, Monday. In fact, we sent a rig out there to the platform committee of the Republicans on to use. So we'll have to see how it works. That said, Heather, why don't you lead off, since you're down in Texas for the 5 shootings, and what's your reflection of the week, reference to shootings?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm a lawfully carrying gun owner myself. I will say that I feel that the gun shootings in Dallas were a wussy thing that person did. I think it was a racial thing that they did. It wasn't terrorism, as Reverend Jesse Jackson said. And I feel that it is a outright cry for what's happening in American public today. But more importantly, I think it's very interesting that within 24 to 48 hours of 2 incidents happening, they had all these specific people, what I call come together at the same date, same time, in 4 different cities across the country, and then they chose Dallas of all places to do it. Now, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and it's already been shown on a post on basically Facebook on Craigslist that they were asking actors to come to this thing. These aren't true protesters. These are actors that were asked to come to do this protesting thing. And I feel it was all planned. I don't feel this guy, whoever they pinned it on, this dude, I don't think it was him. I think it was 3 other people, 2 to 3 other snipers. There's no way he did that many shots with that type of rifle and hit those many cops perfectly without hit any other civilians. I call BS. He's not a trained sniper. Yes, he is. Has he been in the military? Yeah, but he wasn't a trained sniper. I don't think it was him. I think this is all a complete conspiracy theory, because here's why. I think, this is my view, that I think that our country, for some reason, wants to put us in one police. There's federally police, and none of these individuals. Because even talking about today, there's 18,000 different police departments across the country, and they want to have one. And they also want to control the rights of the concealed carry. I'm a big component of this, and I feel that it's a time for America to look at our rights as human beings and stop with the black versus white thing. I think it all needs to go away. But it's very terrifying. I know here in Austin, Texas, that the what do they call it, the call times, what do you call that, Bill? The response times, have gone up tremendously. And that's here in Austin, Texas. Reports came out today that in Baltimore, the police force had gone down more than 5% down negative in Baltimore just this year alone, and has gone up 5% in Nevada and actually Colorado. Why is that? Police don't want to. They don't want to respond to things as much anymore, and I understand that. So I think it's a time that we get behind our cops and get behind our police force, our local police force.
That's a good point, Jonathan.
Not so
your
much
thoughts this week reflecting back on the shootings? I'll make a correction. 5 officers were killed in Dallas and 11 were shot. And the reports are 1 sniper right now, that there was more. And that's just what's coming out. And we know we're going to have a lot of video on YouTube, and that will come out of this too. Jonathan, your thoughts?
Well, I think it was pretty sad what happened in Dallas, but also sad a couple killings. I think I think the climate's been getting more violent in its tone and between the different factions. So in some ways, I don't think it was unfortunately that surprising that you get incidents like this, because there are a lot of people who get very I'm struggling for the right words, because they get for political, ideological, various factors, and they have access to semi-military equipment, haven't they? So if they get into that frame of mind, they can cause a lot of damage, can't they?
So you're saying that the type of training that may be going on and the equipment we have now is leading to a different mindset that caused the two police officers to shoot the black individuals. Both supposedly had guns on them.
It's not about the guns. It's about the belief system and the mentality and the narrative that's being created for the different kinds of groups, Black Lives Matter and other things, that they are creating this causality of people wanting to do some kind of negative action. And I think it needs to start with the narrative and the belief system. And that's where I feel, because there's been guns around for centuries. Doesn't mean these mass shootings have happened. And the moment that you start dealing with the human being behind the gun, the belief system of the human being behind anything, the car, the gun, the whatever, then you can start to actually have some control. But if you just say, oh, it must be the gun, I disagree with that. It's not the gun. It's the belief system behind the user.
Well, I don't totally agree with that, Heather. I think it depends on the kind of weaponry people want. They had this situation in Australia, and they decided to deal with it by state level, but it was also by national government referendum. And in Australia, they removed over 700,000 semi-automatic armor-light kind of weaponry that only should be available to professional soldiers, and they removed that from the Australian society. And I'm not against people having handguns and hunting rifle, but I am against them having weapons that really should only be used by the armed forces, really.
So let's look at this Washington Post article, which was December 3, 2015, and it shows a dramatic reduction in gun violence across the United States, which has continued to go down with the proliferation of guns. So I think that gun violence or violence shootings have actually gone down quite a bit. If you look at that article, there's a nice graph in there. So it's these isolated cases. You can't look at an individual isolated case. You have to look at everything. And I believe in Australia, the crime actually went up. I have to verify that, though, after they took away the guns.
It did. And I did verify the exact number. It did go up after they took away the guns. Because think about it. Criminals will always have their guns. They're not going to be law-abiding citizens. Oh, sure, you're my gun. So now they know that the people are not armed, and now they're all of a sudden going to be able to go. I mean, they're sitting ducks. So people are not armed. It's sitting ducks. I know that I can walk into anybody's house with a gun and shoot somebody and get their stuff because I know they're not armed. I mean, that's the whole point, right? So yes, it did go up after the Australian government took their guns. I don't know the numbers. I'll have to verify that. But as far as the decline, I agree with you. But I think the problem is today is that we have these things called cell phones, and we have Twitter, and things happen faster. The numbers actually were larger in at a different time in our history. The problem is today we have media that's frantic, and so it causes more issues. So we see it.
I think there's some truth to that. Also, I want to put in here. This is kind of an interesting comment that was made by it's William Johnson, who's a spokesman for the National Association of Police Organizations. spoke out and called Obama. He said it's a war on cops. The Obama administration is Neville Chamberlain in this war. That he hasn't, but that's what the that's coming from the police side of their association spokesman. So let me drop that in here.
I saw that. I concur with that. I mean, I know that there was also Meet the Press today. They went against that. They showed that particular video and was against it. But at the same time, there is a war on cops. But I would concur, and people aren't going to like this, I feel there's a war on white people. The fact that Jonathan and Bill are white men right there, you guys have actually a negative connotation to you from the very get-go, because you have to constantly prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt all the different times because you're considered white privilege, which look, I'm white. I don't have any privilege. Someone walking out my door saying, here's some money. I don't have that. I don't know where that white privilege comes from. I've been given nothing in my lifetime. Every college application, everything. I have to fight against being non-minority. It's ridiculous. So I don't think that there's a white privilege going on. I think there's a fight. There's a fight against whites versus blacks for no reason.
Okay,
no reason
so let's go on. This is a rough week. We'll have to see what happens compared to last week when Bill Clinton was meeting with the Attorney General, and then Saturday on a long weekend.
Notice how
Saturday,
that's gone under
then we had the 4th of July on Monday, and then on Tuesday, first thing in the morning, very early, I was watching the TV was on in the background, and the FBI director pops up and speaks for 15 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, and basically lets Hillary off the hook, and doesn't even go into her perjury with the United States Congress under the questioning. Also, the questioning was only 3.5 hours. I thought that was pretty crazy compared to the length of the investigation. So pretty much knew something was up, that she wasn't going to be charged with that. But it was bizarre what he put out. Basically said that she would never have a security clearance if she was a civilian, that she was grossly negligent with, he didn't use those exact words, with classified material, that she had multiple servers, and basically also testified to Congress a day later that she did lie to Congress, did perjure herself. So I think that's going to come back on her, whether it's before the election or after the election. That may be enough for her to be impeached if she's elected. That's my opinion. Jonathan, why don't we start with you right now with the FBI's decision and the things going on last week with Hillary Clinton?
Well, I'm not going to go into my views about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. I've made those extremely clear over the months, haven't I, Bill?
Yeah, John, for those out here listening first time, Jonathan, like I think most of us are are opposed to Hillary Clinton, thinking she's corrupt, she is corrupt, her family's corrupt. So like the mafioso.
Well, they kind of, I call them corporate mafia, really.
Yeah, that's better.
Well, obviously it was extremely disappointing, but unlike you, Bill, I can't say I was that surprised. So I wasn't surprised, but also it's a pretty sad affair, really. And it's a bit like the previous discussion point. It does show a kind of pathway to kind of collapse, really, where it's a clear sign that if she does manage to become president, she has no sympathy or any kind of ethos around legality. She will just do whatever she feels is appropriate, won't she, Bill?
Yep. So Heather dropped off, folks, back when we put this up on a podcast, but she will be back with us. She has good sound. So I'm going to pause for a second. We'll come back on. Okay, Heather, we're coming back with you on the question of your feelings about the FBI director's decision not to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
Jonathan, you look upset. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Jonathan, can you hear?
The closing statement. Hey, Jonathan is going to finish up. He has to run. But Jonathan, thanks for coming up. You had a love freak yourself. You had a deer hit you down near Bishop, going down to you're supposed to be in Orange County right now at the Word Camp, which would be wonderful right now. But instead, he's in some Starbucks in Carson City, fending off bad guys. So anyway, Jonathan, so they're making you get out of there. Sorry, you're being kicked out of Starbucks.
He started poking me, Bill. He started poking me in the ribs.
So, anyway,
I'm not having that, am I?
Who
Bill?
knows what's going to happen this week?
Would you have that, Bill?
Yeah, it's not. It was no. Hey, anyway, take care. America is getting rude apparently everywhere.
Yeah, he started spanking me.
Okay, Heather, stay on.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, we are back. Heather, this week in review, Jonathan just finished up, had to leave. But what's your opinion on the decision by the FBI director on Hillary not to prosecute?
My personal view is that he was pressured on some level, on a political level, not to indict. It was all very well planned out. I think it was within 24, 48 hours, it coming out of the, after 4th of July. And so timing was interesting. I find that, honestly, he was pressured on some level not to indict. However, what he did do is he literally laid out exactly what she did and all the lies. He pointed out lie after lie after lie after lie. So even though there wasn't what we call an indictment, okay, he did point out, he literally laid it out for the American people to decide. Because I think he knew, first of all, the FBI's job and any kind of police enforcement job, their job is to bring the facts to the judicial system. The judicial system decides if there's an indictment or not, by the way. So that he's overstepping his boundaries anyway, on that perspective, that he's not supposed to be able to say any federal prosecutor should not indict. It's not his job to do that. It's the judicial system to be able to say, thank you for the facts. Now it's my job to prosecute or not. However, he had to do that on a political level. But at the same time, I really think that it was planned. Look at the timing. Within hours of him coming out and quote unquote having this press conference, within hours, and it was already happening, Hillary Clinton was already on Air Force One going with President Obama to a North Carolina, rally, and he's behind her within hours, not days, weeks, hours. And so it was way too planned. It was way too coerced. And I think, but at the same time, what he did do is he did bring all the facts. I'll give him that. He is a straight shooter. He did do all the facts. And so he's kind of like, hey, I'm going to give you all the facts, and I'm going to let the judge and the jury be the American people. Here, everything she said was a lie, 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 lie. And I'm going to allow the American people to be the judge and jury, because we all know that the Obama administration under Loretta Lynch.
I think that's a pretty good.
I think he did the right thing that way.
That's a pretty good wrap up of the week. That's excellent. I think that's accurate. He did bring it. He basically built a case for perjury for the Congress, for Congress to go after her in another light. But that was brought out at the hearings the next day too. So you got to tie the hearings in there too. What do you think? How do you think he did at the hearings?
He did a great job at the hearings. There was a particular part where the gentleman, the white hair, I forget his name. I'm going blank on his name right now. Like bleach blonde, white hair. Once it starts with the name, his name is with T. Anyway, he pretty much asked every single question. My note. Did Hillary do this? She said she didn't. Yes, she did. Did Hillary do this? She said she didn't. Yes, she did. She lied. Like, he went through every little point. So I think he did a great job. He reiterized, but basically, yes, every time she spoke about the email, she completely lied. The lawyers lied. She's lied. And so what he did is lay the foundation for, yes, maybe the judicial system is not going to go after her, but it does open the doors for the Congress to be able to go after her. They're not overruled by the judicial system. So I agree with you. But at the end of the day, I think the FBI said this: look, we cannot indict because there's too much political headache, but we can let the American people decide in November and let them be the judge and the jury. I think it's an interesting point, though, that within days of this going out, the shootings happened. I just find it way too timing perfect. And just like you talked about last week about the gentleman that was going to be what's it called, witness in the UN against the Chinese billionaire and Hillary Clinton, a big black guy, by the way, a very big, strong black guy who all of a sudden has a gym accident.
Crushed
24 hours
his throat,
prior.
with a weight.
No, and there's actually rumor that Jim Comey is, let's just say, concerned for his life if he chooses to go after Hillary Clinton in the indictment.
A lot of strange things.
And there's rumor of that. I don't know how you guys, but
many strange things are happening these days. That's for sure. So right now we'll have to wait for the, see what the Congress does next. I knew that would be the next step after watching it because of the perjury. And who knows? So let's wrap this up. Here's the final area we're going to look at. We've got the conventions coming up next week. Next weekend they start for the Republicans, but this week they're actually at the platform committee. For what it's worth, I have a new course, the Podcaster's Home, which I need to finish out, and I have another course about how to take an iPhone and get it up into YouTube and to Facebook, and then actually create it into a podcast. And I set up one of the delegates who's on the platform committee for the Republican Party is actually using the system, and it came out really well. I've got a new mic that's really good in the field. It's better than what we're doing here in Blab, that's for sure. Blab. We're going to have to find a better platform than Blab.
Blab.
Yeah.
I think Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is a great thing. I think we should.
I think I'm teaching Google Hangouts. That's what I teach. That's how we podcast with Google Hangouts. We just do this. Yeah, I think this is probably, except maybe we'll simulcast with Blab because you can stick it up. We probably won't use Blab anymore after today, except to just stick up a link and remind folks. So
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so this week, who do you think? Let's talk about the vice president choices for Trump. A little bit lighter here. What do you think? VP choices for Trump.
I didn't hear what you said. What do you think on what? Oh, VP choices. Oh gosh. God, it's all over the gamut. Honestly, I think Newt Gingrich would be a great pick. I don't know if he's going to do it, but Newt Gingrich needs to be on his his staff, if that is the right word for it. I think Newt Gingrich could be a potential positive pick. However, because he's so old school, people might not like that. He's established. He's way hardcore established. Some people might view that. I like Newt. But yeah, he probably needs someone. Here's the thing: he doesn't need a governor. Chris Christie's out, no way, because he doesn't need a governor. He needs someone who, what I call, knows the hill. There's governors, and then there's the hill, and he needs to he needs to have someone on his side that's been around the hill for years and years and years, whatever that looks like. A senator, a congressman, House Representatives. He has to have someone who knows
General Flynn probably
and knows people on the hill and has friends on the hill. That's what's missing for him.
So General Flynn is probably out in your book.
Do what?
General Flynn. General Flynn.
I don't know who that is.
In Afghanistan. He developed the policy right before I got there in DI headquarters for how we handled government and fought the war. He came up with the system that actually Petraeus built up, and some of the systems that we used. He everything he did, I had to follow. So he also got on the wrong side of the Obama administration. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he needs a hill guy. And I mean that someone who's been on the hill, and there's a world of the hill, you know that. There's like a world of the hill, and that's been on the hill for at least 5 or 6 years, who just knows that world and knows how to run in that world.
My wife had an interesting analysis. What if he did meet with Cruz this week too? What if he chose Cruz?
I would like that. However, there is the last day of Cruz's campaign. He spent about 10, 15 minutes with the media and literally thrashed, he thrashed Trump to a point of just nasty trashing. And I don't think he's going to overcome that. People are just going to reiterate that over and over again. He was like, he's a perpetual liar. He said some nasty things you can't necessarily gloss over or spin. He just said some really, 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 really bad things. And so I don't think there's a way that he's going to be able to overcome that. So I don't think so. The other guy, though, Mike Huckabee. I think Mike Huckabee would be a good person for him. But I mean, the same. I think it's interesting, though. Ted Cruz is a smart man. I find it interesting that Trump has allowed, if not asked, I don't know the other way around, who asked who or allowed Ted Cruz to speak at the convention, because honestly, he's in a way setting Cruz up to run in 4 or 8 years.
Right.
And I don't think that was, but at the same time, I like Cruz as a person. If Trump was not in the race at all, if he was like not here, I would have been 100% Ted Cruz supporter. He was my number 2.
Right. So anyway, that will be a wrap. It may be our last time on Blab with this show. I agree that it's better to set it up and do it on Google Plus Hangout than you don't have the outside. I'll tell you what, it's I hate to see Blab go. Been interesting 41 round tables on here. It's evolved. I noticed the left dropped off recently. Yeah,
they have.
Let's stay on the line and we'll talk a couple minutes afterward. Wave goodbye. So, folks, each week seems to be crazy things happening in our lives as Americans. You saw the 5 police shot, 11 wounded. You saw 2 black men killed with basically viewed through iPhones, this thing. And the world is changing. So we'll have to take it one step at a time, go out and do your best. I will see you in the future, probably not in Blab. It's probably the end of Blab. It just is not getting the connectivity that we really need. And, well, thank you for checking in. I'll talk to you later. Bye. That's not a good finish. Signing off from Blab. Well, anyway, again, thoughts and prayers with all those who have fallen and those out in the front lines. Signing off of Blab, probably for the last time. Maybe not, though. There we go. Ron Wilder.